Hello and welcome back, part 2. Hopefully we'll get this right. Baskets 360, the studio. So this is something new, a blind guy giving you a tour. So so we're going to use the video from part 1 as an outline. This is going to be a detailed video and description of the studio as best as we can. I want people to ask questions. You always have the ability to write an email to us, even call us. If you do write us a message and are confused about something. I want to help people understand things. Whether you're a blind podcaster like myself, or YouTube caster, whatever you call it, webcaster, or if you're just an able-bodied person just trying to create a show out there in the wild universe. But let's start the video, Vic.
All right.
Hi, I'm Steve Baskus, the host of Baskus 360. Check it out, Baskus360.com.
You sound like an idiot, Steve.
We're in the studio today, and I'm going to quickly go over what we have here, what makes the magic happen. So here we are, the center of attention. This is where I interview my guests on the show. It's
Where's
a metal table.
Oh, it's a metal table. Pause it, Vic. All right, come back to me. So, metal table. I sound like a dumbass. But so the metal table, that's this thing right here. So we thought about this a lot. This metal table. Of course, some of you out there are like, why are you going to use a metal table? That's reflective, right? I mean, I think all hard surfaces are reflective, so I don't know if we're going to totally eradicate that from the equation, but there are different things we thought about. So this microphone sits on a stand. What's the name of this stand, Vic? It's a Rode PSA-1.
You should talk in the microphone. Are you filming?
Sorry, I stepped away and I was adjusting the other camera. It's a Rode PSA-1.
Oh, okay. So Rode PSA1, PS1. It's on the internet. Look at the website. But we have it mounted to the table, and so when you think about like how sound works, it's air pressure, and how a wall can be a speaker, more or less, if it's vibrating, anything. And so if I bang the table, that probably transfers into the microphone. So this may not be the greatest setup, but we didn't think people are going to hit the table too much, so we're not too worried about it. But I would recommend maybe having if you mount something like this, you mount it separate from where people are touching things and grabbing things. Sometimes I think they hang them from ceilings. I don't know. Research it on the internet. We picked a round table so that I could. Originally Vic had this idea from Joe Rogan's show, Joe Rogan Experience. There was this, we were going to build this custom table that was like a T. And I think Jamie, his engineer, his producer, sits at a normal desk, more or less, with his equipment. And then the cameras and all the things kind of are oriented in such a way that they point towards the vertical part of the T, is what I'm imagining in my head, because I can't see. I never saw Joe Rogan's table, but he can sit multiple people, right across from himself, kind of like a conference table, more or less. And we ended up not doing that. Maybe in the future we'll change up the studio room here where we interview people. Right now it's a round table, and I probably am not going to have more than 2-3 people. 3 at max at the table. I don't even have enough microphones right now. The microphone I'm speaking into, just since I was talking about this arm that's holding the mic, is a Shure microphone. It's 7 Bravo, 7B. Is that correct, Vic?
Yep.
And so
7 Bravo.
It's a dynamic microphone. Do you have some of that information, Vic? I don't know if you want to read that, But it's a great microphone. It actually, the room that we're in is more or less like a formal dining room, and there's 2 entryways into this room. So really, the room actually is not closed off. There's a lot more sound that we could eliminate if we were to close this room off. We do have acoustic treatments. Go ahead and play the video, and I'll let you know when to pause it, Vic, if you switch back over.
All right, switching over.
It's located in the center of the room, which allows us to take advantage of the acoustic treatments we've put up. So above me here are acoustic panels. These acoustic panels help the room sound better. They help with the reverb and echoes and reflections. And we have them scattered across the room in different places.
Yes, we do.
In the corners, we have bass traps on the walls, acoustic panels, and on the ceilings.
Go ahead, pause it, Vic.
And of course,
like I said in this part 1 video that we're kind of going over, there's acoustic treatments on the ceiling. Directly, there's a massive one that's centered, more or less a 4x4, that's sitting right over the table. And then there's a wall here to my left behind me. There's a large 4x4 acoustic panel that's on the wall there. And so wherever this microphone sits in the room, you kind of want to minimize the reflections that are in line with it. So above it, below it, and across from it is what we were aiming to do. And it's kind of interesting. Victor and I are not like professionals in the regard of going to school for acoustic treatments or sound engineering or video, even videography. But from reading a lot of stuff on the internet and studying things and playing around with some of the acoustic panels, we've seemed to get a decent sound here in the room. But like I said, we don't have we don't have the 2 entranceways closed off. So, but we do have all these acoustic panels. What's the company again, Vic?
It's Acoustic Solutions.
So it's expensive. There's different ways to go about this. As you know, when you search the web, there's a tremendous amount of solutions, do-it-yourself kind of things, everything from using mattresses to blankets to, and really everything has an effect on the room's sound, how live it is. Sometimes it's maybe you want a little bit of live room, like some echo, some reverberation. Maybe that sounds cool. I think it's an art how you want to make your room sound or your show sound. So I don't know if you're going to be playing music in the background consistently, constantly, or what. But I wanted to minimize the reflections because the room it was very reflective. It was just drywall and hardwood floor. Now there's carpet on the floor. There's these bass traps in the corner, and all this stuff like you can research on the internet, like bass traps and these acoustic panels and many other kinds of treatments to diffuse sound, to reflect it in different directions, to capture it, and to keep it from reflecting. And that's all what we're trying to do is trying to minimize that. And we've put a lot of that stuff all over the walls. So we're here at the producer engineer's desk. This is also another place where magic occurs. We multiple monitors hooked up to multiple computers. The engineer has a microphone as well, so he can communicate to everybody that we're working with in the studio. But this is a nice, discreet desk that is a great place for the engineer to sit at.
Go ahead and pause it.
So here we're standing. So this last little part of the video, I think this is the fun stuff we're going to get into. So when building the room, early on, I kept deciding to upgrade things. So I went from like a really simple project plan to a more complicated, like full-on, I don't know what the budget.
It's like a mini TV studio in here almost.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely more money than I thought I was going to spend. But so this desk where Victor's sitting right now, who was just speaking, he, him and I, we were talking about what we wanted it to be. And so we have these 2 monitors. Who are they? Samsung?
They're LG.
LG.
I can't remember the exact model. I can pop that in.
Yeah.
Later,
Well, if you go to Bascus360.com, you can find those monitors listed in the studio list, or on the YouTube link for the Part 1 video, there's a cart to Amazon, and I believe that information is there. But we think they're LG, and they're like 26 inches?
27 inch.
27
they're
inches.
LG 27 MU88.
MU88. Okay. This stuff you should just check on the website, the list. But the monitors are nice and big, and they're hanging on the wall with these armatures that give the ability, us the ability to move them around and orient them in the best orientation, the best position for someone who's going to be sitting at the desk. We had a friend, shout out to Frank. He built this little desk. Vic kind of drew an outline and cut some examples, and we physically put them in the space to get an idea of what it would feel like in the room. And this is where you need to really take your time if you're going to go into this, planning the whole studio out. I think we kind of just shot from the hip and did things on the go. We didn't really write down the plans of what the studio should look like. I had a really strong idea of over time, like what I was going to invest in my mind. But it would have been best for if I would have put stuff on paper and we would have planned it out a bit more. But the desk is really nice. It's very discreet, small, doesn't take up a lot of room because the room that we're working in is not very big. But it holds the keyboards to the multiple computer systems that we're using. We're going to eventually have 3 Mac Minis. We have 2 Mac Minis right now, Mac Mini, Macintosh computers that are connected to these monitors. And we have a MacBook Pro, a laptop, that we're utilizing as the computer systems. And so this desk is where Victor sits. There's a microphone, same exact microphone, a Shure 7 Bravo, that is mounted to the desk, and that gives him the ability to speak with me. And we wanted that dynamic so that, we're in headsets. It's not so necessary, for video and TV, but when we play sound, if we ever play any kind of audio or something, it's all kind of isolated in the headphones and won't bleed into the microphones and cause some weird echo or some weird effect that you would hear as a viewer. But the desk, I don't know. What else do you remember about this whole process, Vic?
Definitely got to mention this really cool tree trunk that was used as one of the legs. Has all these knobs. I think they're caused by a virus, if I remember right. And so Frank, the gentleman that made this, he's kind of a woodworking professional that had this piece of tree trunk, and ended up like Steve was saying earlier, it's pretty small and tight in here, and it's just enough room for the keyboards and the ability to mount the microphone. And then we have a GoPro up here that we'll probably be using here in the future for another view. Just waiting for a cable on that. And then what else do we have over here?
Well, you put some stuff on the wall, like a dry erase board, right?
Yeah, I got the checkbox. If there's any issues, I can mark it down real quick. It's just like the quick notes that I can throw up there.
Yeah, you can jot some stuff down, make some notes if I think of something real quick, instead of like on the computer necessarily, And the monitors have some cool things. They have the ability to do split screen, right? These are, why do I keep calling them Samsung? LGs. These LG monitors have an ability to split the screen. And they also have, what kind of inputs? The USB?
Yeah, they've got the USB-C, they've got a DVI input, and then 2 HDMIs. So like you were talking about earlier, like with the split screen, I'll have the ATEM multi-view up on one side, and then the audio stuff on the other half of the screen. So we don't need to load this whole area up with a bunch of monitors.
So he can basically project 2 computer systems onto one monitor. You know, it's kind of like if you're running dual monitors, but instead of running dual monitors, he's just running a split screen, which is something that LG built into these a capability they built into this monitor, and so that could be done technically. You know, we could have 4 different kinds of screens or information being projected to the engineer / producer at once, if we had 4, you know, computers connected, or other kinds of you know, lines that were pushing the video signal into the monitors. I mean, it could come from anything really. And so so that was one reason why we picked the monitor. They were nice, and they weren't too bad in price. Check it out, though, of course, at the website. The list, the full list, is, for the most part, is at baskets360.com. Scroll down, and you'll find the list for the studio. You know, keep your cables neat. You know, think about how you're going to route your cables. And I'll stress it now, like power and cables that deliver information. You know, it's probably ideal, and there's probably articles about this on the internet, to keep them separate, to route them, you know, spaced from each other. You know, keep it neat, nice and neat. That's always something that would makes your studio look neat and professional, and keeps. Well, when you have to take something out, it's going to make it a lot easier too, you know, and replace something if it's real neat and it's orderly. And label them. And absolutely label both ends of the cables. Draw something, you know, draw a layout of your signal flow, of how your cables are routed to the different hardware devices, whether they're monitors, to the computers, to audio interfaces, video interfaces. That's something that I think is again, just something that probably these multi-million-dollar studios absolutely do, or the engineers, the architects that build them. This studio is not at all on that kind of level, but it's definitely nice. We have nice equipment and nice things, and we could do an even better job. One thing I failed to mention, the room, because we're talking kind of about the room and the furniture and stuff that's in it, and a few of the hardware devices so far, is the floor. We decided to build a floor, kind of like just like a wall, you know, using 2x4s and plywood. And we did that so that we could we could elevate the table and the carpet and everything. We put carpet over the top of this, the plywood, but we put, excuse me, we put, don't eat before you do something like this. We put we ran the cables through this raised floor to hide them, to give us the ability to run them, you know, across the room in different places, to the cameras, to the microphones, to the television system that we have on the floor. And that keeps everything neat and hidden and out of the way. You know, guests that come in and that you're going to interview, they're not going to trip over anything. It just keeps the studio looking a lot neater, or a lot more professional looking. But the one other thing I failed to mention, another piece of furniture, is we bought this metal frame rolling system, and there's a lot of different kinds. It's like an entertainment system that holds this other monitor that we have, a television, in the corner of the room. The idea behind having this television is to show the guest I'm interviewing different information. It could be stuff from the internet. We're doing some fact checking, you know, and we're searching Google. We're playing another video. Maybe the person I'm interviewing, we're discussing something about, let's just say, like I was on the Colorado River last year, kayaking, whitewater kayaking. So I want to play something to set a tone, play a video, you know, and so this gives me the ability to create this emotion, this feeling, and also to just do like all kinds of searches. You know, I mean, if we're talking about something and someone I'm interviewing says this. Well, I'm like, I don't know if that's right or accurate. I can have Vic, my producer / engineer, push something to the TV monitor that's on Google or on the internet, and we can fact check, check multiple websites and throw stuff up there, information, and I think that creates a cool experience for the viewer and the listener as well. And so we have a television, and that sits in the corner of the room. I think we can move on to the next video, Vic. So if you want to play on. At the custom cabinet that we designed for the studio. This cabinet sits outside of the studio room.
This is
to
the
cut
crazy
down
stuff.
on noise bleeding into the microphones. It is a custom cabinet that has fans built into it to help with ventilation, to keep all this electronic hardware cool. But at the very top of this rack, which is, again, like I said, custom, it's built into this wood frame, is our power supply. This provides clean power to the hardware devices we have here. These two devices are audio interfaces. They're by Focusrite. They're Scarlett audio interfaces. We have an ATEM, a Blackmagic ATEM broadcasting switch, more or less, and a web presenter by Blackmagic. That helps us do the camera transitions and transitions to the computers that we're using to show the media and the content that we have with the guest. And at the very bottom here, we have a Behringer headphone amplifier.
Go ahead and
pushes
pause
all
it.
the audio to the different headsets.
So I just thought I'd let that play through. So this is probably where most viewers, listeners want information on. And so I think Victor, prepared a diagram to show the signal flow, which will help actually me and both Victor and I discuss how this works. And we're not going to go into extreme detail, but hopefully Vic will, chime in about certain things that I'm not even touching on. Let's kind of look at it like this. I don't know what you want to show, Vic, if you have a diagram, but the thing is, let's talk about the things that we're trying to capture. So we're trying to capture sound, and we're trying to capture video. And to do that, you have to, in this day and age, and I think in this digital world that we live in, you could use a mixer, and there's a lot of different ways to have this kind of setup. I think, and there's no necessarily right or wrong answer. And I hope people that are more professional about this will chime in the comments below or write us a direct message. But so let's start with sound. We're going to capture sound. So that could be from the television. That could be from the microphone I'm speaking into, the 7 Bravo. It could be from an iPhone or a laptop I have here on the table. It could be just anything that's creating sound. One thing that makes sound recording a great ability to edit is isolation. So or multi-track like recording. In the sense that everything that is its own signal, like this microphone, for instance. This is microphone 1. I'm on microphone 1. I'm speaking into it. That would go to its own track, meaning, we would record. If I was speaking and I had someone at microphone 2, who's the guest sitting across from me, if they were talking and I was speaking, we're not on the same track. So it's like if I wanted to totally take guest 2 out of the equation, which he or she is on microphone 2, I can basically mute that track, delete everything on that track, and it's just me talking. And so we'd lose the dynamic conversation occurring. And we do this through using a digital audio workstation, like a DAW, a software program like Avid Pro Tools. There's a bunch of them. Sony SoundForge used to be an old one. I don't know if it's around anymore. There's just so many of these different kinds of Sonar, I think. There's all kinds of programs to edit sound. GarageBand is something that comes on the Mac side of things. And what's the Adobe one called?
Audition.
Audition, yes.
Yeah, Adobe Audition. So I'm not familiar with all those. Avid Pro Tools is something that's fairly accessible for the blind and visually impaired, and it's pretty wild. It was one of the first digital audio workstations, I think, or I think I'm getting that correct. Workstations. This audio software, this digital audio software program. So what happens is this microphone is connected to the audio interface, which is connected to the computer, and we connect this microphone to that audio interface via an XLR cable. So it's a balanced cable. It's a very you want to look for these good solid cables that protect from electrical interference and all kinds of weird things. So the more money you spend on the cables, a high-end cable, the better, the better, because we've all probably dealt with plugging in cables and having some artifacts in our recordings. So having a good cable connecting your device, such as the microphone, to the audio interface is important. And I'm just going to stick with one item right now in this microphone. So this microphone's connected via XLR cable to the audio interface. Our audio interface is a Focusrite 18i. What is it at?
Focusrite Scarlett 18i 20.
20. And so there are different size audio interfaces. And audio interfaces have all kinds of connections, like ports, like a 1/4 inch, XLR, RCA. There's just different ways to run audio into the audio interface, because there's just so many types of equipment, and so this connects to computers in a variety of different ways. It could be Thunderbolt, or USB-C, USB 2.0. That's what I believe is what this Focusrite, this particular audio interface, this Scarlett 18i 20, is a USB 2, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct, yeah.
And so that's connected to a Mac Mini here in my studio. And that Mac Mini is running a software program, like I mentioned earlier, Avid Pro Tools. And Avid Pro Tools is something that you pay monthly for to have full access to things, and they have different levels of membership or activation, costs and monthly fees. But it's the program that is more or less kind of controlling the audio in the room. So imagine all these different things that I want to record: the microphones, the television, anything I want to, that has audio, I want to capture, and I want to run it through this audio interface into this software program. Some people would use a mixer, and that might be more beneficial in a situation like where there's an engineer, someone that's got you're running faders and there are some really expensive broadcasting, I think, consoles and control surfaces. We're using Pro Tools as our mixer, more or less, and multi-track recorder. These kind of software programs have taken the place of physical hardware, from what I understand. In Avid Pro Tools, you can create these different tracks, and what we've done is we've created tracks for the different things, for the microphone 1, 2, 3, the television. If you want to directly pull audio off the television, the computer systems that we use, like one of the computers we designate as the media computer. So it could be any one of these computers, and that's the computer that's playing YouTube videos or playing the videos we stage for our guests, or it could be just music in the background, sound effects. That's all being channeled into the audio interface as well. And so each one of these items, these pieces of audio, are being recorded on their own track. So again, they're all isolated. They're all on their own track. They're separated. That gives a lot of control in the sense of editing. We want to edit something, an artifact or some weird sound out of microphone 2 because he or she was touching it like that, or something, and we want to get rid of that. if everything was meshed together and on one track, my guest, the engineer speaking, it would be a lot more difficult to manage and to deal with. And this is what they do with musicians, when they record bands. I mean, multi-track recording, they do a drum track. The drummer comes into the studio, he kicks out the music. They might all perform together and they record, some stuff and get some demos and things that the drummer can kind of get. They practice together and then they build on it and they start they record the bass guitarist and then they're the rhythm, blah blah blah, and then lastly the vocals usually I think is more or less the order. And so I'm talking about the same thing. We're just recording not a band. We're recording all the people that come into my studio and communicate with me and my engineer / producer. So that's kind of the signal flow in a nutshell for the audio. There's some key things to think about here because I could go all over the place with this stuff. Because we do a lot of remote calls with people, like video conference calls. Some people use like Audio Hijack, like a software program. So like if you are using FaceTime or Skype or even just playing videos on the web browser, Audio Hijack, at least on the Mac side, I'm not sure if the application's developed anywhere else. This is an application called Audio Hijack. It helps like grab the audio from within the computer through software. It grabs the signal of like FaceTime or Skype. So if I was calling someone and I had Audio Hijack running on the that software program running alongside the Skype, when the person is speaking to me, that software program would record, rip basically my guest who's communicating through Skype. We're not operating that way. We're physically recording the audio off the Mac Mini or the MacBook Pro in this case, that I'm going to change to a Mac Mini. My MacBook Pro is acting as the communication device to my remote guests. So what we do is that MacBook Pro is connected to the audio interface, and it actually there's two Mac Minis and one MacBook Pro, and one of the Mac Minis has an audio interface, Focusrite Scarlett 18i20, and the MacBook Pro has a Focusrite 18i20, and that's about there's 8 inputs on each one, for, just XLR inputs if I'm not mistaken, and that's going to give me the ability to hook up some more things. But what I'm trying to explain here is the MacBook Pro audio is being fed through this audio interface back to the Scarlett 18i20. I'm screwing this up, man.
Yeah, this one is where it kind of gets a little tricky.
You have a diagram, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't have the diagram.
Wait.
Yeah, I do. I forgot I did add it for the second Scarlett.
You don't. Okay, I don't know. I don't know what Victor has here to show, but if you could picture 2 computers and each computer has an audio interface on it. And I want to explain all this stuff because I don't know if this is covered sometimes, and this is going to be a long video. So thanks for your patience. But the 2 computers, 2 audio interfaces. They're both Focusrite 18i20s. I'm running one of those computers with the Focusrite 18i20 Scarlett audio interface is the communication computer. It's making the phone calls, it's making the FaceTime calls, it's making the Skype calls, the video conference calls, so audio or video or both, whatever. What we're doing is that computer, that person needs to hear me. So on the other computer, which again has an audio interface of its own, it's the main computer that's recording everything. So all the important audio that we want to record is plugged into that audio interface. We call it Scarlett 1. in my studio. The other one is Scarlett 2, which is the communication computer. So one's an audio broadcasting, computer, recording computer, and the other computer is the communication computer. And in Pro Tools, on the Scarlett 1, on the audio computer, is pushing only like the audio that I want the caller to hear. It's routing that through the tracks. We're sending it to a special port on the Scarlett 1 and over to the Scarlett 2. And so you got to understand, when you connect these audio interfaces to your computer, you basically in system preferences in the Mac world, on the Mac OS, you are able to pick the different kinds of sound cards. And the audio interface is basically a sound card, more or less, for the computer. And so you can pick it as your input and your output. And so on the second computer, the communication computer, we're routing the audio that from all these different devices back. We're pushing it over to the caller, into the audio interface that's on Scarlett 2, that's on the communication computer. So they're hearing everything that I'm saying into this microphone, which is what I want. I want them to hear this nicer microphone over some other kind of microphone or something, the built-in microphone, for instance, on the laptop. And so, but we also need to capture the guest's voice. So the guest's voice is being sent through the sound card, which is the Scarlett, the audio interface, that's Scarlett 2 on the communication computer. That is going back to our audio computer, which has got Scarlett 1, the other audio interface. And if you remember, the Scarlett 1 and this audio computer is the main computer where we want all the audio to come into. Because from here, we're pushing that audio out of that Scarlett 1 on the audio computer into this video interface that we're using it's a Blackmagic web presenter. And we're pushing the video and the audio onto the internet, through live through Facebook or YouTube, or we're just using a software program like Wirecast, which we'll talk about here in a moment, to capture all this video and audio sound and video. So I hope that makes sense. Like I said, and I'll try to go over it at the end, because it can get kind of complicated, the signal flow, and there are other ways to do this. But I'm gonna have a drum set and musicians here in the future playing, and I wanted more power and more inputs. So I have 2 audio interfaces, and I have I have 3 computer systems. And it can be overkill. You can do all of this with a laptop or your iPhone. You can just have an iPhone and a little audio interface and a microphone and accomplish what we're doing too. With creating like a YouTube channel, YouTube show and a podcast. You don't have to have all this stuff. I wanted versatility, and this dynamic studio to do some cool things in the future. And so the video side of things is kind of similar. I've got 3 cameras by Canon. They're just little like camcorders. They shoot at, I think, at 1080, right?
That's correct, 1080.
And again, you can check that stuff out at the website. And Vic will be editing this video to show show images of things. But the camcorders are like we number them: camera 1 or input 1, input 2, input 3, and so on. And again, the computers are involved because we want to share a computer screen. So all these, this Blackmagic ATEM, which is like a broadcasting switch, and the Blackmagic web presenter are video interfaces. These are 2 devices that we have. And I have 2 web presenters, 2 Blackmagic web presenters. Again, it may be overkill, but the cool thing, it's like a video card, the web presenter, and it takes all the video signal and it turns it into the correct protocol to turn it into to shoot it through through webcam. It's a webcam protocol. So we can use any kind of camera we want, really. For these particular Blackmagic devices and for the stuff that we're doing on the web, 1080 is I think a standard. And this equipment is maxes out at 1080. You can buy some more expensive equipment out there, I think, to have a higher resolution, better quality video.
Well, that like the web presenter actually
couldn't go higher.
Well, it knocks it down to 720.
Oh, okay, 720.
Yeah, for streaming purposes.
Yep. Okay.
And
so that's the standard, more or less, on the web at this point with this particular hardware device. But the ATEM is 1080.
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
So
ATEM's 1080.
And you got to think like the ATEM is just a switch. So it's just like, again, like the audio interface. It interfaces with all the cameras or video, anything that has that's going to push a video signal. And so that could be a monitor, like a television monitor. It could be a computer monitor, or it could be a camera. And so we have a mix of all of that kind of running through the this video interface. And the video interface is cool. It's Vic can sit here with a number of different applications that can work with this hardware I'm speaking by Blackmagic, and he can like press 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's buttons on the keyboard, and he can move to input 2, input 1, input 3. So input 1 might be me, right? I'm input 1. I'm the host. Guest is input 2. Let's say. So he can hit 2 on the keyboard, and it goes, with Wirecast. And there are other kinds of software programs. Like we were using OBS, which was open source broadcasting software or something, right? Something like that. And it's a free software program that was pretty powerful for what it was. We ended up going with Wirecast. At this point, maybe we'll change it, but it's a bit pricier. We did a 30-day or 20-day demo, and then I decided to buy it. So we're using Wirecast for all you out there to help with doing the live stuff and the recording. Go ahead, Vic.
Oh, I was just going to say I found it to be a little more user-friendly than OBS was. And then also the support through Wirecast itself was a little bit better. Yeah,
they seem to be on top of it. Same day kind of answers and really good support. But so the video cameras are running into this switch, this Blackmagic ATEM, and then we have the MacBook Pro is running into this switch. The media computer, which is the audio computer, it's audio/media, is running into that switch. So we have all this video signal that we can push to the viewer, to you. Vic could switch right now, for instance, to the media computer, if he wanted to, which is where the YouTube video is, where we're playing the video, and then he could switch back to me, input 1, and show me. And so on, and that's the power of this switch, and this switch then pushes that video into the web presenter, and the web presenter is one of the key pieces of equipment here that we're using this interface, this video interface, this video card to send information to you, to the viewers, but also to our remote guests, like on FaceTime or Skype, and that's what it's got, this capability to do that. And more or less, it's a webcam. It's like a protocol. It turns it into the correct signal for the computer to interpret it as a webcam, and then that allows you to tap into YouTube Live,
Facebook Live, which are the two platforms that we've used. We've done the show on, and then just also record it physically onto the computer. You don't have to go live at all. And to go live, to just jump to something else, Vic had to basically go on Facebook and on YouTube and generate a special code that he has to put within the Wirecast software program, like a key. He generated a key, I guess. I don't know what the proper term is, but Wirecast is a very powerful software program. It allows us to do like the live stuff, like I was mentioning, and just remember that if you're going to do that, do some research and learn how you do how you can do that on your own. So I want you to add some things, Vic. There's a lot of stuff that we didn't talk about. There's a lot of we ran into all kinds of problems and issues, messing around with signal flow and trying to get it right. And levels, audio levels are important, running it. The way I've understood audio levels is that you think about the microphone. It's a low level source, like usually. It's not a line source like from a speaker, for instance, like your computer. When you plug into your headphone jack or something, it's like a line level out. You already it's amplified. It's already amplified. You can listen to it on speakers and it's loud. You can turn it up and down. A microphone requires amplification too. And so, some microphones, like condenser microphones, require power, but this dynamic microphone by Shure runs into the audio interface, like I said, via XLR cable, and there's a gain knob, and the gain allows you to this microphone, this 7 Bravo, is a quiet microphone, is what I've understood from, because our gain settings are pretty high, and maybe someone can instruct us on that, but that's what we've read to, if I remember correctly. Vic was doing some research. They just need a lot of gain, and you can run another device, I think, in between, a preamplifier, in between even this and the mixer, or to gain it, to push it up even higher. But you want to start at wherever the audio, like this microphone, comes in to the audio interface. That's the first place to make an adjustment. So that's one of the most important places to adjust. So you adjust that gain till you get a good level in your software program. Don't change, because like when you open up these digital audio workstation software programs like Avid Pro Tools, there's like there's 100 different areas to adjust levels. The track level, the master volume, all these different. So you want to start at the source, and the source is really the first, is the gain knob. And so we dialed all those in, and we keep them identical across the board for each microphone, and then we went into the software program and messed with those, and all the time researching what the optimal levels, volume levels are for the internet and for broadcasting, which we still may have to make some adjustments. There's some interesting things with the volume wars that you can read about, listen to on YouTube and on the internet in articles. But they're trying to create a standard, At one point in time, people would watch TV and, it would get blaring loud like during a commercial, and then it would get really soft during one show. And then, that's kind of annoying. You're always constantly changing the volume. And so as we speak, I think they've figured out a lot that.
I don't know what that is about.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. Were you doing something?
No, I got my hands in my pocket.
Yeah, that was interesting. That's what I heard that one night too. Sorry, everybody. There was something strange going on in my ear. But Yeah, the audio levels are an important thing, and so like I said, you start from the source there, the gain knob, and work your way towards the software, and in the software itself, and get your ideal levels, and make sure they sound good. Make sure you don't have too much gain, too much hiss. Troubleshoot everything. Be meticulous, and read up as much as you can about all of that, and because I'm still learning about how to optimize our settings and make the show sound good, because for the listeners and the viewers, that's what they want. They don't want to be distracted by weird things. They just want to absorb and digest the content that you're pushing out there. And so that more or less is I'm trying to think. Vic, is there something you want to add?
Trying to think back. So like on like you're talking about the web presenter, and we were talking about like 720 and 1080. That's something that, like, right now I've got the DSLR on you too, and I can show that and kind of compare it to what the web presenter is putting out compared to what the DSLR is recording.
Yeah.
And they'll notice maybe if they're on a laptop or larger screen, they'll probably notice a quality difference for sure. But on the iPhone, I think the 720 has been doing pretty good. You can't really tell any kind of like bad quality difference. And that's where most people are watching their videos now, is on the phone. So
yeah, it's a small screen, so the resolution, it looks nice. Almost everything looks nice.
Mm-hmm. And then
yeah, there's some things that we need to touch on, like the web presenter has a control face that you can buy separately. It has a digital a screen right on it, and it's got some knobs. You can make gain adjustments and things within that. Again, that's all important too. And I think it's important to buy that control face.
Yeah, you almost need it to do anything, really.
Yeah,
I don't know why they sell it without it.
It's kind of interesting. Blackmagic, why do you do that?
Otherwise, I think you're only limited to being able to use one camera, and then you can't do anything with the audio, really.
Yeah, and it's important to say this Blackmagic ATEM has 4 HDMI inputs and 4 SDI inputs. And there's some outputs too, but like for your inputs, you have 8, and we have a number of cameras and things like the computers that are going into the ATEM as HDMI. You can buy these converters, these adapters to take something from HDMI and turn it into SDI, which is like a coax, if I'm not mistaken, more or less. And it's very common. That's a standard type of cable that is utilized in studios, broadcasting studios, and it allows you actually to have some extremely long cables, to push video signal. So that's the Blackmagic ATEM that I was speaking about, and the Blackmagic Web Presenter has that control face. I can't remember the name of it.
The control face. It's like a Tyrannex.
Tyrannex, yeah, it's like Tyrannosaurus Rex or something. Tyrannex. I don't know if they're going with that, but Tyrannex or Terror. Yeah, it's that's the face, the control face that basically just connects to that module, that Blackmagic Web Presenter module.
That ATEM, the Television Studio HD, that pretty much had to have it. That was the whole reason for creating that whole custom box out there, or that was where it started, was because that ATEM Television Studio the fans on it are so loud, it didn't do well inside the studio, so we made a box for it and put it outside the studio. So.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. So Vic built this cabinet that we dreamt up. The cabinet we bought some rack system. Is it 1U or 2U? I can't remember what the rack system size is.
Oh, it's a 10U, I believe.
Is that what they call it?
10 units.
10 units. Okay.
You can put in it.
Yeah. Okay. It's a 10U. Okay. So the
It's just a normal rack system, you know. It's just it was just the metal bars, and he did the measurements, and because he built this custom wood cabinet, and so the audio interfaces, the video interfaces, they all sit in this rack system. And yeah, we put some bigger fans on the side of the cabinet to push air into it and out of it. So you have our inflow and our outflow, but yeah, it's not within the room. It's on the other side of a wall, and then that cabinet has doors on it. We actually created 3 entryways so that we had complete you know, we have this ability to get around all the electronics that are mounted inside this cabinet. So it's not that hard. You know, we wanted ergonomics. We wanted the ability to be able to customize things and connect things without having to pull stuff out and feel encumbered, I guess, you know, more or less. There's a front door and then side doors, and so all the hardware is easily accessible. So that was something we thought about. And there's a lot of cabinets you can probably buy and all kinds of things you can do and different things. Again, I just wanted to get that unit out of the room because it was creating, you know, a lot of people probably wouldn't notice it. But I wanted to have less noise bleeding into the microphones, and so we put that. And like I said, I mean, the room sounds pretty good for having 2 entryways. You know, right now this room has 2 open doorways to the rest of the building, and the building's pretty quiet, but there's things that are going on that we could completely eliminate if we closed off the room and added some more acoustic treatments. And so, I mean, that's the studio. I mean, there's little things here and there, but the signal flow is real important, and we really wanted to go over some of that in some more detail. And there might be a part 3 and a part 4 and you know, a Q&A, you know, and I'll make videos for people. We'll make videos describing some things, key things, if people want it. So this video will be on the web indefinitely, but we can add more here if you want. Vic, do you have anything else?
Trying to think what else without even going into too much crazy detail. Just mention.
I mean, you could talk about the software. I can't talk about the software, so I mean, but yeah.
Well, I was just going to cover real quick. There are 2 lights that are one is shining on Steve, one's shining on the guest. Those are some video lights that have wide variety of color balance and
diffuse.
Yeah, it's got like a plastic diffuser over it. They're a little bright, might adjust some angles and things like that to work with the lighting in the studio. And then there's a backdrop behind Steve. It's just a standard black backdrop. And
we could do green screen if we really wanted to as well.
Create some cool stuff.
Might in the future. Yeah, I see that stuff I'm forgetting. The lights. The blind guy forgets the lights. There are can lights in the ceiling, I think, in this room. Above us as well. They're on, but like he said, there's these more video / photo like lights that give him more ability to adjust the brightness and the color hues.
Well, something else that
came to mind.
It just came to mind that I think everybody should do because it's a lesson learned, and you know. You harped on me on a little bit, and then also, you know, when you forget to do something, you're like, oh man, especially if you're recording a show or something. So very important, make a checklist, keep that up there somewhere in front of you or something, with everything from starting up the studio on up. And yeah, after a while you get used to doing everything, and you may start to forget to check the checklist, and next thing you know, you forget to arm a channel, and then you didn't capture the audio from that, or you're dealing with a lot of other trouble. So yeah, make a checklist.
Yeah, I'm glad you you brought that up. You know, having protocol and standard operating procedures. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on, and Vic is learning. I'm learning. He's, you know, I never did this as a sighted person, but having this studio now, and then running through the whole process of getting ready for a show and having someone call in or having someone physically here in the studio. You know, you don't want to waste their time. We don't want to change the dynamics and the mood. So yeah, having an understanding of your software and how it works, how you're going to load your intros and your outros, and I'm bad. I don't know all the terminology for broadcasting. Maybe eventually, but I'm unconventional. So, but the thing is you have all that kind of prepared and understand, you know, how you're going to arm your audio channels and Pro Tools, for instance. When we say arm, you know, you're basically staging them to record, and so and arming them allows them to be, you know, to hear the audio signal. So if they're not armed or they're deactivated, you basically that channel's muted more or less. You're not getting. And you're going to go crazy in moments where you're scrambling to be on time. You know, like if you have a deadline, you have a specific time when the show is going to start. It's good to have a checklist, and that checklist will help you because it's the same thing over and over. Maybe eventually you get used to it and you don't need it, but that's what we're trying to do is become more attuned to how everything works. We're trying to keep the sound levels the same, uniform across the board each show. You know, you don't want your audio bouncing around. It's hard with the remote calls because everybody's on a different kind of phone. They're on a wireless network. They're on a wired network. They're not wearing a headset. So the levels change. The cellular strength changes, the internet speeds change, the upload download rates, all that kind of affects the quality of the audio, the connection, and so we're always scrambling to change the levels a little bit on the guest that we're recording remotely. It's so much easier to have someone in studio, but I'm limited. Not everybody can fly out here, and I don't have the money yet at this point to fly everybody in to put them on the show. And who knows where the show's going to go, but maybe someday. I don't know, Vic. There's probably something we've missed. I'm sure of it, but that's a pretty. I want to be real detailed. You know, I don't think I've ever listened to a video though on YouTube that goes into that much detail. Even, you know, I mean, we could get so much. The software alone, you know, is insane.
I'm still learning the software. There's a lot. There's a lot of good tutorials out there though on these things already with for Wirecast and the ATEM software.
Yeah, that's right. The ATEM. So I want to the Blackmagic ATEM can be controlled through a network protocol. So like the cool thing is something to mention about that is you can kind of control it from another computer using the software on the same network. If you're on the same network and run the switching. I don't know what the software is called. It's ATEM's studio software.
It's just ATEM software control.
So that was kind of cool, I thought. And but there's a lot of things I think we're not even taking full advantage of yet. The outputs, you know, have like the program, like you can send these to monitors. Like if you have like a green room or maybe not a green room, but a room where people are lounging and stuff, and you know that's separate from the studio room. You could send that. You could send the feed there, and they could, you know, people could watch and be isolated in that room so they don't make noise near the microphones and stuff. You know, there's just a lot of things that we could cover. If you have a question or something, just, you know, write us, steve@baskets360.com or info@baskets360.com. You know, go to the website, fill out the inquiry form at stevebaskets.com. And check out the list at baskis360.com. Again, B is in Bravo, ASKIS360.com. The studio list is there. And so, and on these YouTube videos, below in the details, you'll have links to the equipment that we are using and off of Amazon. So definitely check that out as well. And subscribe to the Facebook page, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share the videos, please. Hopefully this is beneficial, helpful for people. Hopefully we didn't confuse people. If you don't have anything else, Vic, I don't know.
No, I think I'm all good.
I'm trying to think. Well, we're going to let you go. Thanks for tuning in. This is Steve saying goodbye.